Today I'm telling 6 embarrassing stories I've never told before, and for good reason, and some of them are really embarrassing and cringe. I had to check with my lawyer before posting this. Now this first story starts at the Commonwealth Games. I'm in my last event, the men's 10-meter platform. I've already competed in the synchro where I picked up a medal and 3-meter individual. I've done like 4 competitions so far, and I did the men's 10-meter platform. I didn't really do my best. I was kind of tired, and I got 13th. Top 12 go through to the Commonwealth Games final. And I thought, you know what? I've had a really good campaign here in Birmingham. I'm gonna go out, I'm gonna relax with my friends and go for a beer. So we went out down to the local pub with Hamish and Ramon, just kind of relaxing. I was having my beer, then I get a call. From a head coach. He says, someone's been injured, we need you to come back and compete. And a part of me was really excited because I was like, all right, I get to go back and compete. But a part of my brain had already checked out of competition, so it kind of threw me off a little bit. And I was like, all right, well, I better go get me bag. So I went and picked up my bag that was at my friend's house, and I got an Uber straight back to the diving pool. And I'd missed the whole warm-up because this had all happened last minute. So I just kind of walk in, do a few of those. I get the time for one dive off the 5-meter platform. The commentators are talking about how I didn't get to warm up at all because I was meant to be done for the competition. And then we go into the event, and I actually do a lot better than I did in the prelim. I didn't pick up a medal, but I did do better. And I thought it was really funny that I'd completely checked out. I was out having a beer, and I had to come back and compete. I nearly got in a lot of trouble for this one. So during COVID, at the Institute, we were doing Zoom training, which I hated. I like going into training because you're accountable, your coaches are there, you do it. I like that. At home, I found a lot of reasons not to turn up to the Zoom calls, and there was this one Zoom meeting they brought the whole Institute to. We were trying to bring everyone together for like a team workout on Zoom. They had someone come in to run this program, like a special training exercise of cardio and all kinds of things I don't particularly like to do, but we have to do them. And we were starting to warm up, doing our burpees, and I was kind of tired, didn't really want to do it. And I didn't realize my mic on the Zoom call was on. So I was halfway through these exercises. One of our trainers that's running the session was going through the movements. Everyone was on it. I was like, this is I don't want to be doing this. And then my phone rings. And I'm like, Tomo, why is he calling me? He's on the Zoom call. Hey, Tomo, how are you? He's like, Sam, your mic's on. I'm like, what? He said, you got to turn your mic off. My heart just sank. I could not believe that I had said that in front of the whole Institute and the trainer that was running that class. Now, lucky for me, everyone kind of pretended it never happened. And we haven't spoken about it since, so I'm assuming I'm off the hook because it's been about 2 years now, but I'm telling you, every time I take a Zoom call, if I'm not talking, I turn that mic off just in case. Yeah, luckily there was no repercussions. Now, I reckon different sharks around the world have different personalities. I've swum with sharks in 3 countries, 2 of them not by choice. When I see a shark in Australia, I'd get concerned. I've been out surfing and seen 1 or 2 before, and it does concern me. I find our sharks are quite ferocious, and I've talked to Valerie Taylor, who is a shark conservationist, and she loves sharks everywhere, and she does say that different sharks around the world have different personalities. And she said the ones in Australia can be quite aggressive, but still beautiful creatures. But then you go somewhere like the Maldives, and you've got all these little reef sharks, and you want to swim with them. So you go out and you try to swim next to them, and a lot of the times they'll swim away. And we tried to wait for some to get them to swim by, but they just wouldn't because they were too timid. And I know these are smaller sharks, but over there you want to swim with them because you feel so safe in the water and with those sharks. There's only another time we swam with a shark in Miami where we were promised there were no sharks in the water. So we got in, we're catching crayfish, and we go to this sunken bridge, and we look under this bridge, and there's a nice shark sleeping. Luckily we got a video because we wanted to tell all of our friends we swam with a shark. Now it was quite small, but eventually it sped off. And at that point I realized everyone says when you're in the water with a shark, you'd be able to fend it off. I'm like, those things move that quick, I think you'd really struggle. But what I realized was all around the world, I felt like slightly more comfortable in some countries swimming with sharks than in others, especially here in Australia. From Australia to the Maldives, the comfortability swimming with sharks is like night and day. It's kind of funny. So we all know the Norwegians invented death diving, and they have a full competition for this death diving where they just send it, they do these cool moves and then try to just horsey it right before they hit the water. I'm nearly guaranteed all these guys would have severe concussions 90% of the time they do it. Like if I did one entry like that at training, they would send me to the physio to do a concussion test. I remember I went over one day really bad and I was like, oh, I think I might have hit my head on the water. And they made me go to the doctor to get signed off before I got back in the water. And that's the death diving. That's just what they do. They just send it like that. So I was training in Norway to compete for this competition. I was down on the 3-meter springboard doing my competition dives. And at the same time, they let the death divers train their dives on the 10-meter. And it was really funny to see them just absolutely send these gnarly tricks and just wipe out on the water. Also nearly hitting the edge of the pool. Like they were getting close. And then I'd be down the 3-meter doing my, I'd say proper technique, but you know, there's technique to the death diving as well. Sharper technique on my dives. And the comparison was hilarious. But Olympic diving, we do things in a certain style, and then death diving, they have their own style, which is kind of cool, but the Norwegians invented it. And when I was training there, it was pretty random, very hectic, random experience. I think my coach just laughed when he saw the whole thing happen. It was just hectic. After the Commonwealth Games, I took 3 months traveling around the world making content. And when I flew home, one of my mates organized to go into the Singapore lounge because they had a little party to celebrate the fact that we got a medal when we were coming home. So I land in Singapore and I get lost. Like I can't find the lounge. I'd never been there. I was like, I don't know where the lounge is. I walked around for ages, couldn't find it. I just went back and waited at the gate and then got on my plane and went home. I then get a call from my friend. He said, oh, they had like a full party set up there for you with some streamers and some celebration stuff and you never showed up. So I got lost. He gave me a really hard time about it. And about a few months later, I was coming back through Singapore and turned up to the lounge. And the guys at the front, oh, you're Sam. Yeah, you got lost at the airport and couldn't find this place. And they started having a go at me. Funnily, like they were having a laugh with me. I like their sarcasm, it was good. And then they showed me the photos of everything that's set up when I was meant to come through a few months ago. And I felt terrible that I'd just like gotten lost and did a no-show. And these guys had gone out of their way to try to help us, but they didn't let me forget about it. My mate didn't let me forget about it. It was kind of nice because when we got there this time, they had a full section for us anyway, so they were really sweet. Hats off to the lounges in Singapore. We love you. And I won't get lost next time because I know where you are now. That was a bit of an L. As you guys know, I'm an Olympic diver, but it wasn't always that way. When I was a kid, the reason I was able to get into the institute was I was so obsessed with the Olympics, like obsessed. I really wanted to go. And when I was diving, I like just told everyone, I was like, I want to go to the Olympics. I want to go to the Olympics. Most people told me, you know, no way, not going to happen. I had someone straight out tell me, you're just not the kind of person that could do it, which is kind of funny. You know, a lot of people said, no. And then I was introduced to one of our Olympic coaches, Howell. And they said, oh, this is Howell. He's been to the Olympics. I was like, whoa, this guy's been to the Olympics. I was blown away. So I started having a chat to him and he was telling me about it. And then I told him, I was like, you know, I'm going to go to the Olympics one day. And he said he'd never had a kid come up and say that to him before. And from then on, Howell took interest in coaching me in the diving pool. He'd coach me when I come to Sydney because I grew up in Newcastle. And then he said, you know what, why don't you come and try out for the Institute? And then we ended up moving to Sydney, tried out, got in, and we went off from there. But if I'd never mentioned to Howell, who is my coach today, that I was going to make the Olympics, maybe I never would. It's funny, when I did make the Olympic team, the trial was in the Sydney pool, and after my last dive, I was standing in nearly the exact same position as where I'd told Howell when I was very young I was going to make the Olympics. I think I had a tear in my eye, and I said something like, I told you I was going to make the Olympics. That was an emotional moment though. But yeah, he still coaches me today, and I think if you have a goal, it's good to talk about it so people know what you want to achieve, and then they can get behind you and help you get there. So there's 6 embarrassing stories I've never really told before, but make sure you like, subscribe, and don't turn the bell because we post way too many shorts.